Ryan's going to throw it, taking a deep shot for Pierce down the field. He's got it! Touchdown!
And we've got to get younger. We've got to get faster, unequivocally, on defense.
Here, Indiana move. We from Indiana move. We from Indiana move. I'm an Indiana move.
Touchdown! I-N-D-Y! And he lost the ball. There's a fumble. Who's got it? The officials say the Colts do. Great team win, baby! Drops it way downfield, intercepted, coming forward and making the INT for the Colts in the back end. To see the Colts win Super Bowl. Hey, win on three. 1, 2, 3, win!
Welcome back to the channel. This is Marcus Sniffles, and while the Patriots and Seahawks are preparing for the Super Bowl, the Colts are preparing for the offseason once again, missing the playoffs, not winning the division, and having a 8-9 record, just being mid. So we're going to talk about the top 5 offensive storylines for the season. Number 5, what's going to happen with Charvarius Ward? Now, Charvarius Ward was the key free agent that Chris Ballard bought in. He was the top pick, highest paid. Chris Ballard made a move that he has rarely made in his tenure by bringing in a high-priced free agent, like a high-priced talented free agent, like an all-pro level player, a top 5 player at his position. Like, we didn't really get to see it because of all the concussions, but Charvarius Ward is in the conversation for being a top 10 cornerback in the league. So for Chris Ballard to pay top dollar for a top player was amazing to see for me. The downside is Charvarius Ward suffered 1 million concussions this season. While rarely having concussions at any point in his career, he suffered concussions in the game. He suffered concussions before games. He had concussion symptoms like at home and all the time. And he was contemplating retiring. And that is still something that could possibly happen. There's still a possibility that by the beginning of the 2026 season, Charvarius Ward announces his retirement. Now, what he said in his post-game or post-end of the season media availability, he essentially said that if he suffers one more concussion, that he's going to retire. I know you play cornerback, but this is the NFL. This is professional football. The likelihood of you suffering a concussion is very, very high. The likelihood of me suffering a concussion, I sound like I just had a concussion, but the likelihood of me suffering a concussion is less than 1%. The only real way I could have a concussion is if I have an accident, like I fall or I get in a car crash. For 16, 17 weeks out of the year, you're out there banging your head against other guys. The likelihood of you getting a concussion is very, very high. So that's going to be that's the 5th most important storyline going into the offseason. Number 4, what to do at right tackle. Now, Braden Smith has been the Colts right tackle for over 5-6 years. And he's been doing a very, very good job. Now, he has had health issues. He has had mental health issues where he has had to miss time. He missed a whole season last year due to his mental illness. He's had a few injuries here and there. Last year, he ended the season on IR. And he is going to be a free agent. And we had rookie Jalen Travis, who was a 4th-round pick. And he filled in for Braden Smith at the end of the season. And I thought he did very well. I think he only gave up maybe 1 sack. Didn't really give up too many pressures. So it's okay, do we just hand the keys over to this young player and just trust that Tony Sparano can develop him into being a top-tier right tackle the way that he did with Braden Smith? Or do we bring Braden Smith back? Do we try to give him a team-friendly deal? Do we try to maybe franchise tag him? Do we overpay for him because he's one of those guys that we found in the draft, developed here, and we don't want to let go? And side note, there's still a possibility that Braden Smith also retires. He's made a lot of money with the Colts. He made it to a big second contract. he's had a solid career here, and he's had a lot of injuries, mentally taxing career here. Him retiring is not off of the board. So I'm curious to see what the Colts do. I personally think we should just turn the keys over to Jalen Travis. I thought he did well for a rookie. He's on a rookie contract. He's big, fast, long, and I fully believe that Tony Sparano could make me a good right tackle. So with Jalen Travis, with his size, power, speed, and build, I think we're going to be fine letting Braden Smith walk this offseason. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys something. About 90% of you guys that watch this video are not subscribed to the channel. Don't be a weirdo. Subscribe to the channel. Don't be part of the 90%. Be a part of the 10%. And let's get that 10% to 90%. So 90% of you guys that are watching are actually subscribed. That would help me out a lot. Cost you nothing. It's free and I'd appreciate it. The third most important storyline of the season is, what are we going to do with wide receiver 1? Alec Pierce led the team in reception yards, while Michael Pittman Jr. was, I believe, second in receptions behind Tyler Warren. Now, Alec Pierce is also a free agent, and Michael Pittman is going to have a cap hit of over $25 million. So the question is, who do we pay? And the question is, do we free up money to pay for Alec Pierce, or do we try to restructure Michael Pittman Jr.'s contract to keep both of them, or do we just move on from Michael Pittman Jr. completely? Do we trade him? Do we cut him? What's the answer? And with Alec Pierce, do we max him out? Do we franchise tag him? Is it possible to get a team-friendly deal from him? There's a lot of questions on what to do at the wide receiver position. I'm actually going to do a video on Alec Pierce versus Michael Pittman Jr. And there might be a little bit of A.D. Mitchell talk in there because I'm still not over trading him. I still think we traded the wrong wide receiver, but that's a video for another day. But the third most important storyline of the offseason is what happens with the wide receiver room. The second most important storyline of this Colts offseason is, will Chris Ballard stay aggressive? Like, he went out there, like we talked about with Charvarius Ward, he went out there and spent big money on a top high-end free agent in Ward. But he also spent big money on Cam Bynum at safety. And he also, like it or not, paid a lot of money for Daniel Jones. Like, Daniel Jones was brought in here to compete, and he wasn't, like, handed over the starting job. But Daniel Jones was paid $14 million. $14 million, he could have been a backup for that. Like, we could have had a $14 million backup if Anthony Richardson doesn't get hurt. That's a lot of money for a quarterback. And there was a lot of speculation that the fact that the Colts paid him that kind of money, they kind of secretly were hoping that he would be the starter because of the money that they paid him. But at the end of the day, Chris Ballard spent a lot of money in the offseason. So I'm curious to see if he is aggressive in going after players and if he's aggressive with moving on from players, especially players that he drafted and helped with the development of and has paid. Someone like Michael Pittman Jr. that he drafted, someone like Kenny Moore that he was able to find, someone like Zaire Franklin. Is Chris Ballard willing to say, you know what, these guys don't fit Lou Anarumo's defense. They might fit the type of scheme that I want to play, that I would prefer to have, but the way that Lou Anarumo runs his defense, players like Kenny Moore don't fit in man coverage. Players like Zaire Franklin don't fit in the dime package. Players like Kwity Paye are just not good enough. Michael Pittman Jr., is he good enough for that $25 million plus cap hit? It's one thing to bring in players and to pay for outside players to come in, but are you willing to move on from the players that you drafted, that you paid for, that you re-signed? That is another sign of aggression, and I would like to see Chris Ballard do that. Now, obviously, the number one story for the Colts this offseason is, what do they do at quarterback? Quarterback is the most important position in the NFL, and it might be the most important position in all of sports. We can go through the long list of different quarterbacks, different starting quarterbacks we've had in week one from like Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett, Anthony Richardson, Joe Flacco, Gardner Minshew, Phillip Rivers. Like, we've had multiple starting quarterbacks during Chris Ballard's tenure. And for you to be a successful franchise in this league, you have to have a reliable quarterback week in and week out. Every year, your quarterback has to be the week one starter and has to produce like a top 10 franchise quarterback. If you look at all the teams that are successful in this league, there is no question mark at the quarterback position. You look at the Rams. Matt Stafford has been the starting quarterback there for at least 5 years now, and they've won a Super Bowl. They're constantly in the playoff run. Drake May was a little bit of a, we knew that he would eventually be the starter, but after last season with him being hurt and not really playing well as a rookie, when he showed that he was the guy, he's going to be the Patriots guy for the next 10 years. You look at the teams that were in the AFC, like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. Even in the AFC, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott even. There's a lot of teams that do not have a question at the quarterback position, and that gives them room to figure out everything else. You can be a team like, say, the Bills, where it's like, okay, we have Josh Allen. We know how great Josh Allen is. We know what kind of MVP player he can be. He's going to figure the offense out. So let's try to build up this defense. We're not going to give him a wide receiver one, so let's give him an elite defense, something like that. Same thing with like Joe Burrow. Like Joe Burrow, we know what kind of quarterback he is. Let's surround him with a lot of offensive talent, a lot of offensive fireworks. But you cannot have a question mark at quarterback and be successful in the league. In the NFL, it's not possible. No team has ever been, we're not really sure what we're doing at quarterback and been successful. Like I said with the Patriots, we didn't know like if Drake May was going to be that guy. But I'm sure if you go to, the Patriots version of me, a YouTuber that was doing Patriots content in this offseason, they knew. They heard training camp reports and reporters and practices. They knew Drake May was going to be the starter, and they probably had high hopes for Drake May going into the season. Maybe not MVP level, lead a team to the Super Bowl, but they didn't have a question at quarterback. If you look at most of the bad teams in this league, they don't have an answer at quarterback. And right now, currently, we don't have an answer at quarterback. Now, based on the end of the season conferences, the Colts and Daniel Jones are interested in coming back, but it's one thing to be interested, but it's another thing to come to the table and say like, okay, this is the kind of deal we want to make. Because at the end of the day, there's other players that the Colts have to pay. Daniel Jones was good to great during the season, but he also got hurt. He also had a turnover problem towards the middle of the season. And Daniel Jones is going to want to get paid, and he's going to want to get paid a lot of money. He's probably going to want around $38 to $42 million, multiple years, coming off a torn Achilles and a broken leg. Is Chris Ballard going to, be like, hey, man, like, yeah, you played great for us, but you were injured. I don't know if I feel comfortable putting that kind of money into a player that's getting older, that's coming off of 2 different leg injuries. Is he going to be stubborn about that? That is something that we're going to have to consider. There is a possibility that Chris Ballard is like, I don't know if I want to pay that kind of money. And if I'm being honest, I'm fine with that. But we'll go into that a little bit later towards the season when we figure out what happens with that. You made it this far. If you have not liked the video at this point, what are you waiting for? Just like the video. Hit the like button right now. I'm talking to you. Make sure you like the video and subscribe and drop a comment. All that stuff. This is a threat. Not a threat, a warning. But it could be a threat. Just do it. But also, when it comes to the quarterback room, there's also Anthony Richardson, who once again finished the season on IR. Like, he got hurt in the preseason in the Baltimore game. He got hurt before, I believe, the Cardinals game, where he tore his orbital bone. Like, there was a perfect opportunity for Anthony Richardson after Daniel Jones got hurt in Jacksonville to come in and play the final 4 games of the season and show what he could be, show what he could do, and show that he is the guy for the future. That could have happened had he not gotten hurt in a freak accident. But with his 5th-year option coming, every season he's been in the NFL, he's finished on IR. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to look at that money and his lack of production and his lack of availability and say, you know what, we're just going to eat this money and keep you as a possible quarterback too if they keep Daniel Jones. Or there is a section of the fan base that is completely out on Anthony Richardson because of the tap out from 2 years ago. You know, like some people just don't want him on the team anymore. I don't get it. I think it's ridiculous, but you know, that's how they feel. But there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of question marks. But if we go off of what they said in the offseason about his how he's progressed as a player, you would think that if we lose out on Daniel Jones, that they could just roll Anthony Richardson in there. He's been in this offense going into his 4th year. If anybody knows the offense better than him, it's Shane Steichen maybe. Like, he knows this offense better than Daniel Jones, and I feel like he at this point, he knows how to be a professional quarterback. He knows how to be a pro. I would assume that right now, after being in the league 3 years, having a quarterback come in and essentially take his job. If they were to roll with Anthony Richardson, I believe that he would be the best version that we've seen so far. And even outside of Anthony Richardson, we have Riley Leonard, who I thought played great against the Texans. If there's a possibility that the Colts can't afford Daniel Jones and they look at Anthony Richardson's contract and they say, you know what, we don't know what we're getting from you because of your lack of availability, and we can trade you for a 5th round pick or a 4th round pick. And those picks are valuable because we don't have a first. So if we can get some sort of value for you, and they do that, they move on from Anthony Richardson, they move on from Daniel Jones, and they just decide, you know what, we're going to go the San Francisco 49ers route and let Mr. Irrelevant pretty much lead us. We're going to save a bunch of money at quarterback. We're gonna, like, if we move on from Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, we could save over $50 million. $50 million. Imagine what you could do with a productive quarterback, a young quarterback on a rookie contract, and you have $50 million to play with to build your team. I think that might be the second best option at quarterback. I just don't think it's the most likely. But there's still a lot of things to do and a lot of things that could happen at quarterback. So that's obviously the number one most important storyline going into the offseason, because we all know quarterback is the most important position in sports. So like I said, the top 5 storylines going into this offseason for the Indianapolis Colts. What happens with Javarius Ward? What do we do at right tackle? Alec Pierce or Michael Pittman Jr.? Will Chris Ballard stay aggressive? And what do the Colts do at quarterback? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And we'll be back on the next one. Every Monday, 7 in the morning, we're dropping Colts content. So I'll see you then. Go Colts.
Thanks for watching, babe. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel.